What would you do if the night you thought would be one of the happiest of your life, the night meant to mark the beginning of forever, was shattered in a single instant by the people you trusted most? Not strangers, not some distant acquaintance, but your own brother and your best friend. I'm not talking about overhearing whispers or catching a glance that seems suspicious. No, I'm talking about cold, undeniable proof, a video on my phone, playing out right there in my hands while everyone else was dancing and laughing at my engagement party. A video of my brother having an affair with my best friend. I still remember the way the air smelled that night, like champagne mixed with perfume and the faint smoke from candles we'd set on every table. My fiance and I had worked for weeks planning the engagement party. We'd booked a hall, nothing too fancy but big enough to hold family and friends. My parents were there, beaming like it was their moment too. My cousins flew in from out of state, my colleagues showed up, and every corner of the room buzzed with laughter and congratulations. For once in my life, everything felt perfect. And then, in a matter of minutes, everything collapsed. It started when I couldn't find my best friend Sarah. She'd been my closest friend since high school, the kind of friend you go through everything with: college exams, heartbreaks, late night talks about dreams we didn't think would ever happen. She was the first person I told when I planned to propose. She even helped me pick the ring. And my brother Daniel, God, Daniel had always been my hero. He was 3 years older, cooler, smoother. Growing up, I wanted to be him. If Daniel walked into a room, everyone noticed. He had that charm, that confidence. And he was there that night too, shaking hands, hugging guests, looking every bit the proud older brother. So when someone mentioned they'd seen Sarah slip away from the party earlier, I didn't think much of it. Maybe she needed a break from the noise. But then my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. No text, no context, just a video attachment. I don't know why I opened it right there, in the middle of everything. Maybe instinct, maybe fate. I tapped the screen, and in an instant my whole world tilted. It was grainy, the lighting dim, but there was no mistaking it. Daniel and Sarah, together, in a way no brother and best friend should ever be. His hands on her waist, her lips on his neck, the kind of intimacy you can't fake, the kind you can't explain away. My chest tightened so hard I thought I might pass out. The music kept playing around me, people kept laughing, but it was like I'd been dropped into a glass box, suffocating, watching the life I thought I had crumble right before my eyes. I stumbled into the bathroom, locking the door behind me. My reflection in the mirror looked like a stranger: flushed cheeks, wide eyes, sweat beading on my forehead. My hands shook so violently I nearly dropped the phone. I played the video again, hoping I'd misseen that maybe it was some cruel joke, some deepfake. But no, it was them. My fiancée, Emily, knocked on the door. "Are you okay?" she called. And in that moment, I didn't know what to say. How do you explain to the woman you're about to marry that your brother and your best friend just set fire to everything you thought was real? I splashed water on my face, shoved the phone in my pocket, and opened the door with the fakest smile I've ever worn. "Yeah," I lied, kissing her forehead. "Just needed a minute." But inside, I was breaking. I spent the rest of the night in a haze. I shook hands, thanked people for coming, posed for pictures with Emily. If you look at those photos now, you'll see a man smiling, but if you look close enough, you'll see the storm behind his eyes. Because the entire time, that video was playing on repeat in my mind. After the party ended and the hall emptied, I drove Emily home, kissed her goodnight, and told her I needed to run back to grab something I'd forgotten. She didn't question it. She trusted me. God, that word stings now. Trust. Instead of going back to the hall, I parked in front of my brother's house. My hands were clenched so tight on the steering wheel that my knuckles turned white. I sat there for 10 minutes rehearsing what I'd say, how I'd confront him. But when I finally knocked, he answered the door with his usual grin, completely unaware that I'd seen everything. "Hey man," he said, clapping me on the shoulder. "Hell of a party tonight." And all I could think was, how do you smile like that when you've betrayed me in the worst way? I didn't say anything at first. I just pulled out my phone, pressed play, and held it up between us. His smile faltered, his face drained of color. For once in his life, Daniel had no words. "Why?" I asked, my voice barely more than a whisper. "Why her? Why now?" He stammered, tried to explain, but nothing made sense. Something about it being a mistake, about it not meaning what it looked like. But the video didn't lie. His hands didn't lie. Her lips didn't lie. I walked away that night with no answers, just the weight of betrayal sitting heavy on my chest. And that's only the beginning of this story, because betrayal like that doesn't end with a single confrontation. It seeps into everything: your engagement, your family, your friendships, your very sense of self. And what came after made the video look like just the spark to a fire I never saw coming. The night after I showed Daniel the video, I couldn't sleep. My body felt like it was vibrating, my mind a carousel that wouldn't stop spinning. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it again: his hands on her waist, her lips on his neck. It looped over and over until I wanted to rip my own brain out just to silence it. I lay there in bed staring at the ceiling, Emily curled up peacefully beside me, completely unaware that her entire life was about to change. I kept asking myself the same question. Do I tell her? Do I risk shattering her world the way mine had been shattered? Or do I carry this poison alone, bury it deep and pretend nothing happened? By morning, I had my answer. I couldn't lie to her. Not about this. So over breakfast, as she buttered her toast and hummed some tune under her breath, I put my coffee down and said, Emily, there's something I need to show you. She looked up, smiling, her eyes so trusting it made my stomach twist. I handed her my phone. The video queued up. She pressed play. I watched the color drain from her face. Her hand trembled, her eyes widened, and by the time the video ended, she dropped the phone onto the table like it had burned her. Is that Daniel? She whispered. And Sarah, I said quietly. She clapped a hand over her mouth, shaking her head. No, no, this isn't real. It can't be. It's real, I said, my throat tight. I confronted him last night. He didn't even deny it. She sat there frozen, tears welling up, her chest heaving like she couldn't catch her breath. Then, in the smallest voice, she asked, What do we do now? That was the question, wasn't it? What do you do when the two people you trusted most have ripped your world apart? We decided to confront Sarah together, Emily insisted. She said if we didn't, it would fester and rot us from the inside. So that afternoon, we drove to Sarah's apartment. She opened the door with her usual brightness, but when she saw us standing there, her smile faltered. Hey, what's going on? I didn't answer. I just handed her the phone. Her face went pale. She didn't even try to deny it. Instead, she stepped back, covering her mouth. You weren't supposed to see that, she whispered. Emily's voice cracked like a whip. Weren't supposed to see it? That's what you have to say? That you got caught? Tears spilled down Sarah's face, but I didn't feel sorry for her. Not one bit. It was a mistake, she choked out. It just happened. I didn't mean for it. Emily cut her off. You don't just accidentally sleep with your best friend's brother? I stood there silent, my heart pounding, letting Emily rage for both of us. Finally, I asked the only question I cared about. How long? Sarah wiped her eyes, hesitating, then whispered, A few months. Emily gasped. I felt like the floor dropped out from under me. A few months. That meant while Sarah was helping me pick out an engagement ring, while she was standing beside me as I rehearsed my proposal speech, she was sleeping with my brother. I couldn't even look at her anymore. I turned and walked out, Emily following close behind. That night, I told my parents. We sat in their living room, the air thick with tension. My mom frowned, confused. What do you mean, Daniel and Sarah? I showed them the video. My dad leaned forward, his jaw tightening, while my mom gasped and pressed a hand to her chest. When the video ended, silence filled the room. Then my dad growled, That son of mine. He shook his head, fists clenched. How could he do this to his own brother? But my mom, God, my mom, she started making excuses. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe they were drunk. Maybe. No, I snapped. Don't you dare excuse this. This wasn't one night. This was months. And he knew what he was doing every time. Emily sat beside me, her hand gripping mine, her eyes red from crying. My dad nodded, his face set. You're right. There's no excusing this. We'll deal with him. The family split down the middle after that. Half took my side, furious at Daniel. The other half whispered that I was making too big a deal of it. That family is family. That I should forgive. Forgive. The word made me want to vomit. Daniel tried to call me, tried to explain. He said he and Sarah had been confused, that it wasn't about love, just comfort. He begged me not to tell Emily, not realizing she already knew. I hung up on him every time. The wedding plans stalled. Emily couldn't bring herself to pick out flowers or taste cakes while this storm raged over us. I couldn't blame her. Our engagement party was supposed to be the start of something beautiful, but now it felt like a scar. Weeks later, Sarah showed up at my apartment, eyes swollen, looking like she hadn't slept in days. Please, she begged, don't throw away our friendship over this. I laughed, bitter and hollow. Our friendship? You threw that away the moment you touched him. She cried, said she loved me like family, that she hadn't wanted to hurt me, but all I saw was betrayal draped in crocodile tears. Emily slammed the door in her face. Here's the thing no one tells you about betrayal. It doesn't just hurt in the moment. It lingers. It seeps into everything. Suddenly, you don't trust anyone. You start questioning every word, every look, every silence. You wonder how long people have been lying to you, what else they're hiding. Emily and I fought a lot after that, not because we didn't love each other, but because the betrayal had poisoned everything. She'd ask, do you think he loved her? And I'd snap, I don't know, does it matter? She'd cry, saying she didn't want to marry into a family like this, and I'd shout that Daniel's choices weren't mine. We were both right and both wrong. One night, after another argument, Emily sat on the couch and whispered, I don't know if I can do this. My heart stopped. Do what? Marry into this. Live with this shadow forever. I didn't know what to say. Because the truth was, I didn't know if I could either. But here's where things took an unexpected turn. A month later, Sarah called Emily. Not me, Emily. She begged her to meet up. Against my advice, Emily agreed. She came back hours later, pale and shaken. She's pregnant, Emily said quietly. The words knocked the wind out of me. Pregnant? With his baby? I asked, my voice shaking. Emily nodded. I felt like the world tilted again, like the ground had cracked open beneath my feet. My brother had not only betrayed me, he had created a permanent tie to my best friend, a child, a living, breathing reminder of everything I'd lost. I didn't sleep for 3 days after that. My parents were devastated. My mom wanted to help Sarah, to make sure the baby was cared for. My dad refused to even look at Daniel. The family dinners that used to be warm and loud turned into cold, empty silences. Emily and I, we broke off the engagement. Not because we didn't love each other, but because the wedding had become a war zone. It wasn't about us anymore, and neither of us could breathe under the weight of it. I moved out of the apartment we'd shared, packed my things into boxes, drove them to a small place across town, and sat on the floor surrounded by silence. 10 years of friendship, destroyed. A lifetime of brotherhood, shattered. A future I thought I had with Emily, gone. And yet, in the rubble, I found something else, clarity. Because when betrayal strips you bare, when everything you thought was solid turns to dust, you're forced to see what's real. And what's real is this: people aren't always who you think they are. Sometimes the ones closest to you are the ones holding the knife, but sometimes losing them is the only way to find yourself again. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if Emily and I will find our way back to each other, or if I'll ever speak to Daniel again. But I know this: I survived. I'm still standing, and that counts for something. As for the video, I deleted it. Not because I forgave them, but because I didn't want it owning me anymore. They can live with what they did. They can carry that weight. I won't, because this is my story now, and it doesn't end with them.